We're going to talk for a few minutes about the magic number this November, 270, as in 270 electoral votes to win the presidency. Let's get some insight on it from former senior Bush advisor Karl Rove and Democratic strategist Joe Trippi. Let's look at the map as we always do. First of all, gentlemen, the latest map and lay it out for you. You can see the info on the key. Red, Romney; blue, Obama. Then the pinkish color is lean Romney; light blue, lean Obama; and the yellow, those are toss-up states within the margin of error. And again, this is all based on polls from the last 30 days. Okay, Karl, what has changed since we last met?
Well, if this map looks familiar, it's because there have been no changes in the last week. It shows Obama plus leans at 225, Romney plus leans at 191, and 122 electoral votes in the yellow states for toss-up. Now, that's not because we haven't had some polling. There have been 13 surveys over the last week in 9 states, but in 4 of those states it didn't affect the average, and in the other 5, while it affected the number, it didn't affect their status. 4 states moved in the Romney direction. Florida went from -2 for Romney to tied. North Carolina went from tied to +3. New Mexico, with a poll that showed Romney behind by 5, moved from -14 to -10. And New Jersey went from -13 to -10. One state, Washington State, moved in Barack Obama's direction, went from a 13-point margin for Obama to a 16-point margin, but not a single state changed its status, though there was important movement towards Romney. Now, most of these polls were taken during the week or over the weekend, so we may not have all of the Democratic convention bounce baked into them. But as of today, no changes in the status from last week.
And Joe, you're seeing changes on your map. You put Ohio in lean Obama.
Well, yeah, the one poll we have seen since the Democratic convention in a state was the PPP poll in Ohio that gave Obama a 5-point lead there.
It is a Democratic-leaning poll.
It's a Democratic-leaning poll, but I've also been privy to some focus groups and other internal things that I'm hearing on the Democratic side, and there's renewed confidence that Ohio is starting to lean Obama. So I put it there. Now, look, these things can change 5 ways between now and November, but today I put it in the lean column for Obama.
Karl, Monday, if you talk to Republicans, you disagree with that, by the way.
Yeah, I disagree. And the polling data for the polls over the last weekend, look, I'm looking at private polls too, and it shows it a very competitive, up-for-grab state.
Monday, you talked to Republicans. Some of them felt pretty down because of the polling out of the Democratic convention. You look at this map, Karl, it's kind of where it was.
Yeah, and look, I'm not suggesting that it might not be someplace different. I mean, you have to have these conventions bake in their results. But look, Republicans on Monday were down because they saw the CNN poll with a 6-point lead, and they saw the Washington Post poll with a 1-point lead. But look, Obama got a bounce out of it. The question is, how big is it going to be? It looks to be smaller than the average since 1964, which has been 4.9 points for a Democrat. And the question is, how persistent is it going to be? And I say, be careful about putting too much into these post-convention polls. Look at where things settle out at the end of the week or early next.
Other states that you're keeping an eye on, Joe?
Oh, look, you look at this map, and they all, I mean, Iowa is going to be critical. Ohio, again, we can disagree with it about it today, but it's clear to me that whoever wins Ohio is probably going to be the next president. It's the reason that it looms so high. It's 18 electoral votes, and there is movement. I agree with Karl. Look, you cannot look at the movement from these polls yet. It's going to take a week or two to bake them in, but I think initially it looks like Obama got the better bump out of the convention.
Karl, Iowa is interesting. They're spending a lot of time in Iowa.
Yeah, in fact, more money is being spent per capita on television in Iowa by the Obama campaign than any other state. The president went there for 3 days just before the Republican convention. But I think it's a very interesting state. The western part of the state is heavily Republican. Republicans do well in the western suburbs of Des Moines. In order to win, Republicans have to begin to break through in the eastern part of the state. Northeastern Iowa, around Dubuque, sort of looks like Wisconsin and has an affinity for it. A lot of the same kinds of people live there. It's Roman Catholic, and the presence of the first Roman Catholic on the Republican ticket since 1964 in the form of Paul Ryan, I think, is going to help there. And then southeastern Iowa sort of feels like Paul Ryan's district of Janesville and Racine over in the southeastern part of Wisconsin, except that it's got more hills in Iowa and they got a big river on the eastern side. But otherwise, it looks and feels a lot like his district. So we'll see how it goes. But the fact that Iowa's competitive after being a blowout for Obama 4 years ago is a sign of something.
Which is interesting. It's 6 electoral votes. folks. Last thing, we have this map app for the iPad that you can download, and a lot of people have, and they've been doing their own calculations. And Joe, we've been putting every week somebody's map up there to go against you and Carl. This week it's Zachary Wilson. Tell us about this map.
He's got Romney with 276 electoral votes. It's a plausible win for him, but what's significant about it is he gives Ohio, Virginia, and Florida to Romney, and it just shows the 3-2-1 strategy that we've been talking about for the Republicans. Any one of those three states flips, and Obama's the nominee. If Ohio, as we've been talking about, goes, Obama wins the presidency. I mean, so it's a very good map, and I think the interesting, he gives Iowa, that we've been just talking about, to Obama. So that you look at these states that we've been talking about this evening, and they're all critical in a very close race that leads Obama by only 276, Romney by 276 wins it.
Okay, Zachary Wilson, thank you very much. You can do it too.